So if you are a fashion designer in your home country and you just moved abroad or you just moved to the UK and you don't know how to start, you don't even know where to start, you don't know what to do next, you don't know how to begin, then this video is for you. Hi guys, my name is Taiwo Oyewusi and I am a fashion designer in the United Kingdom. For this year makes it 2 years since I moved to the United Kingdom, and because my business is mostly on social media and I get my clients mostly on social media, I get a lot of DMs on how do I start my fashion business in the United Kingdom. Some will be like, I'm a fashion designer in my home country. How do I begin as a fashion designer in the UK? How do I start? What do you think what do I need to do to start? What are the necessary steps on how I could start building my fashion designing career in the United Kingdom? And this is what I am here to let you guys know and share my little experience on how I started as a fashion designer in the United Kingdom. So if you're like me, when I was coming from Nigeria to the United Kingdom, I never had it in mind that I was going to start building a fashion business in the United Kingdom. But one thing led to me rethinking that decision I have made. And the thing is, I couldn't get a job. The job I was getting wasn't the job that I would like to do. So I had to rethink my decision, and then I start my fashion designing journey when I realized that I could do this also in the United Kingdom. So one of the things I started with as a fashion designer in the UK as an immigrant that moved from Nigeria to the United Kingdom and decided to start or to kickstart our own journey in building our career as a fashion designer is I got a sewing machine. The truth is, if you really want to do something, you just need to take a step. You need to take the first step, and then from the first step, you start seeing things that you need to do. You start seeing the need to buy this, to buy that. So one of the things I got was my sewing machine. And the sewing machine I got was a Singer sewing machine. I got a Singer tabletop sewing machine. Sorry. Singer sewing machine. So that was the first thing I got as a fashion designer that is trying to kickstart a career in a new country, which is the UK. So when I got the sewing machine, then the second step I took was to open a social media account. So I had a social media account in my home country, Nigeria, but I realized that whenever I post on that social media, it is not people around me, people in the vicinity I live are not viewing it. People that are viewing it are still people in my home country, which are not my target audience. So I decided to open a UK TikTok account. And honestly, TikTok was the first thing I opened, which really helped, and which I would advise anybody starting a fashion designing journey, starting to build a fashion designing business to use. That's one of the medium that I used for me to get clients as a fashion designer that just moved to the United Kingdom and was building a career in the United Kingdom. So the first thing is get a sewing machine. The sewing machine is around, at the time I got mine, it was around £200 plus. I don't know the amount it is now, but take your first step, the first bold step in getting a sewing machine. Then the second step is open a social media account. You need it because opening a social media account, you can put out your work there, especially if you are in fashion designing, especially if you are into fashion designing in your home country. By the time you open your TikTok account, you need to start posting your past work, all the work you've done in Nigeria, in Ghana, in your home country. You need to start putting them on the new platform that I just opened. And that was the second thing I did while kickstarting my journey as a fashion designer. I'm not there yet. I'm still growing. I'm not even 50% there yet. But I'm using this medium to just communicate to people that are still finding it difficult to kickstart their fashion designing journey in the UK or anywhere in the world due to migrating from their own country to the new country that they are. So the third thing I did was to go on Google Map and search for fabric store near me. So if you live in the city center, it will be easy for you to search for fabric store. So I went on Google Map, I searched fabric store near me, and then I started visiting them one by one to do my survey. Not like I really wanted to get anything, because as at that time I don't even have any clients yet. So I just wanted to know where I could get some certain stuff from if I eventually had a client. So I searched fabric store near me. You can search it on Google Map. I searched button and lace shop near me. All those stuff. I searched them so that I would already know where to get some of those things by the time I start to get clients. So while I was still posting on TikTok, in my caption on TikTok, I included that I do alterations. because you know in the UK, lots of people do alterations more than doing custom piece. So I started getting people reaching out to me on alterations, on cutting their shorts and all of that. So in my bio, I included custom made dresses, dressmaking, custom made dressmaking, and alteration service. And then I included my WhatsApp link where they can just click and then go to the WhatsApp and chat me up. So the first thing I did was just a recap to get a sewing machine, because that's the first thing I did. And then the second thing was to open a social media account, which I choose TikTok because it is easier. And I started actively creating content on TikTok. I started showing up. I started my past work, the works I've done in Nigeria. I started reposting them on that new TikTok account that I opened in the new country that I am in. I started doing that, and then I started searching. The third thing I did also was to search for fabric store near me, button and lace store near me, so that by the time I start getting clients, by the time I start getting clients, I would know exactly where to run to get fabrics, and then also to have ideas on their prices. If you enter into a shop here in the UK, no one will question you while you are in there. So you don't even necessarily to buy anything when you visit those shops. You just need to go in there and survey, know their prices, see if they have fabrics that you could use in the future, the tailoring materials that you could use in the future. You can even, apart from Google Map, you can also search. If you are living in Birmingham, if you are living in London, you can search for fabric store in Birmingham on TikTok. You know, you will see varieties of stores that you could visit. So those are the three things I did, and those are the three things I did. And then the fourth thing was, so I forgot to mention that before I got clients, I just shipped some basic stuff from Nigeria, like some linings, some zip, zip, chalk, office pin, stay, what else did I ship? Quilonine. What's there? I shipped some basic stuff that I felt like I would need. I shipped some thread, different colors of thread, so that I would, whenever I get the clients, I can fall back to those things. So that's another thing that I did. I forgot to mention that you would have the issues of space, where you put your sewing machine. Please don't let that discourage you. When I started sewing, when I started my business, there was no space at that time. We're living in a shared accommodation, so there was no space. I remember that my single sewing machine was always on my bed while I sew. When you put the single sewing machine on the bed and then the pedal is on the floor, and then I bend my back like this to be able to make some dresses. So that was how I started, because there was no space. There was not even space to put a simple table. So please don't let that discourage you, because what I know is it will always get better. You can see my speed, though I don't really still have space now, but then at least this is better than when I started. So it will always get better. Please don't let that discourage you. So that will be the end of this series, and in my next video I'm going to talk about how I got my first ever clients in the United Kingdom as a fashion designer. Oh my god, I can't wait to share you guys that interesting story. All right, see you guys later. Bye.